The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
Polkadot is all about interoperability, enabling cross-blockchain transfers of any type of data or asset. Polkadot is the 13th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. And earlier at ETH Denver, I had a chance to ask Sean Tabrizi, lead developer at Polkadot, about vulnerabilities and their latest series of auctions. Have a listen.
As you mentioned, Polkadot is all about the multi-chain future. We want to make it easy for new blockchains to interoperate, connect, communicate with each other. And the way that Polkadot works is we have the Polkadot chain, of course, but then also a bunch of other blockchains, which we call parachains, which are connected to Polkadot and get all the ability to communicate, work together, and actually build a cohesive multi-blockchain future. So in order to get a slot onto Polkadot, you basically kind of have to prove yourself to the community and get people to back you. We could call these crowd loans. And through crowd loans, the community can actually pick and choose their favorite projects, what they think will help innovate the Polkadot ecosystem. And then through the crowd loans, they win these auctions and they get a slot as a parachain on Polkadot. And again, once you get a parachain on Polkadot, you have access to basically be part of the Polkadot ecosystem, run a blockchain, get the shared security and value from Polkadot, but also communicate and work with other blockchains. And this is really the beginning of what we think a multi-chain future will look like.
That's interesting. So what are some of the winning projects?
Right. So the example of a few teams is Akala. Akala is a set of DeFi primitives designed exactly on the blockchain. So rather than having a bunch of smart contracts which do DeFi, you can actually build these protocols at the core blockchain level. We also have Moonbeam, which is an Ethereum compatibility layer, allowing you to launch and run EVM smart contracts just on the Polkadot ecosystem, just like if you're running on Ethereum. We also have other platforms like Kilt, which is doing identity management and trying to push forward other parts of the Web3 ecosystem we don't quite see as much, which is like decentralized identity solutions, right? So these are just a few examples of teams. There's been over 10 teams on Polkadot, over 20 teams on Kusama, which is our Canary network. There's a lot of things going on.
It sounds very foundational in the beginning, which just goes to show how early we are in the space and how it's developing. Another topic I wanted to broach, just talking to you, it reminds me of the wormhole exploit that happened recently, where a hacker identified an exploit between an Ethereum and Solana bridge and was able to just reproduce lots of Ethereum out of thin air, and had to have the parent company, Jump Capital's, come in, and I suppose
they
stopgap the 300 million that was taken.
Exactly.
So what lessons did we learn from that in terms of, are blockchain bridges vulnerable?
Right. So again, I think we are approaching, cross-blockchain communication from a lot of different levels. There are existing systems and existing bridges that are coming out, and Polkadot itself has its own protocol. We have something called XCM, which is a cross-chain messaging system, and XCMP, which is a protocol for actually sending the messages. And this is basically like an instant bridge for any parachain that joins. Like for free, you basically get a bridge to everyone else. So when we see things like other bridges getting hacked, it's obviously something that we can take a very close look at and make sure that, what are the vulnerabilities there? How can we learn and make sure that this doesn't happen on Polkadot? We've been taking our own kind of multi-layer approach to doing things. We have actual test networks, we have Canary networks like Kusama, and then we actually have Polkadot itself. So before anything actually gets to Polkadot, we already put it through rounds of other testing in other incentivized networks. And so ideally, if there were any problems, they would happen at lower levels. But additionally, we also get all of our code audited, and we work closely with all these teams to make sure that everything is running smoothly and that there aren't many issues. So I would say that we learn from mistakes of others. We understand kind of the sensitivity of the space. But we have a kind of a multi-faceted approach to making sure that this doesn't happen to us. But I will say this. I don't point fingers at any team that is innovating and making mistakes along the way. That everything we're doing in the space is new. Everything is interesting. It's amazing that we have open source software so that people can find and call out bugs and actually get rewarded for that. And I think that we should celebrate people who are innovating and pushing the boundaries rather than pointing at, oh, you made one mistake. Everyone makes one mistake, but it's all about the fact that they made a mistake because they were pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And I think that's what we're trying to do also at Polkadot.
That's a very positive outlook. I love it. But, I found that Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, suggested perhaps that these cross-chain bridges are perhaps a little too dangerous. Is that
Yeah, so
vulnerably extensive?
So let's talk about that.
Polkadot.
So, the issue with any type of cross-chain bridge system is you have one consensus system, like one blockchain, basically trusting another blockchain that it will behave correctly. You can imagine you move some Ethereum to another blockchain, and that blockchain does something weird, mints a bunch of it, or deletes it, or steals it, and that interaction is still like a trust in a trust-free world that we want to build, right? Polkadot saw some of this by having the relay chain and being able to accumulate all of the different blocks of the parachains into a finalized state. So in Polkadot, if you have assets being moved across different chains, you can guarantee that the state of those chains doesn't change from underneath people. That if there's one blockchain to kind of like revert or go back, all the chains have to revert and go back. So with this, you actually get a kind of a more secure type of cross-chain interaction than you would get. But yeah, I think that bridging it's not an easy problem to solve. And I think Vitalik is basically calling out the fact that there's still a lot to learn, and we should be questionable of the exactly how much this can do and how quickly we can get there.
In terms of privacy, that's an increasing subject in the crypto space now that we see in countries like Canada, they're blocking certain addresses, blocking finances to certain people. Well, in this case, truckers who are leading protests against COVID restrictions. And I understand that you are also playing around with privacy features.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So I think privacy is a very fundamental part of this ecosystem we're building. I think privacy is coming at the right time. Like, Bitcoin and Ethereum wouldn't have existed if we had to go through all the challenges of building privacy layers around it. But now that we have these systems that are working, adding privacy is a natural next step. Polkadot is very, very incentivized to give privacy layers to ensure that users can use the products in the ways that they want. We even have this Polkadot Pioneers Prize, where we've actually just allocated $15 million from our treasury in order to innovate ZK and other zero-knowledge stuff in the Polkadot ecosystem. We have some chains, even parachains, which are dedicated in investigating and actually working on privacy stuff. For example, Manta, which is a ZK knowledge layer on top of Polkadot. I think that we will start to see things like governance and identity really become a powerful tool once privacy is there, and they're just waiting for the technology to come to maturity. So we're going to be helping push that forward for sure.
And now that you've been here in ETH Denver for about a week, what is what excites you most about what you're learning here at ETH Denver?
I think the most exciting thing about being here is just seeing how many people, we're in a room that's just chaotic right now. There's just a ton of people. And
a lot of energy.
And you have people from all different, walks of life. People who are just learning about this stuff, people who have been programming it for years, right? And that's super exciting. I think that we're really just seeing, how useful this technology is to everyone. I think beyond that, DeFi is the hot word of this whole ecosystem. But I think what's really nice is you actually see a lot of these talks are talking about blockchain beyond DeFi, Web3 beyond DeFi, and that really is the next natural step. DeFi is a great kind of a conduit for bringing a bunch of people in here, getting them excited, getting the money in, right? But the Web3 future we want to build, DeFi is just one aspect of it. And I think that I'm really excited to see how excited people are to innovate in the other areas.
So in 2020, they said that was the year of DeFi.
Yeah.
In 2021, NFTs. What is 2022?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, in my viewpoint, it's all about the multi-chain future. It's all about getting this cross-chain communication working. But I think that it could even be something about the DAOs. DAOs are really hot right now, right?
I'm hearing that a lot.
So in my 2022 might be all about DAOs and voting and understanding how you can make governance in these, trustless systems.